Welcome. Audible. Free audiobooks and tales. It's automatically dubbed in your language, has subtitles, and the subscription is free. Today, I'll read you a new Audible. Narrated by Amadriadi. Enter the author's magical world. Are you ready? Let's go. Audibles. Title: TIENDA. Author: Nicola Baxter. Fantasy Tales. Narrated by Amadriadi. The oceans of the world are wide. They are, in fact, twice as wide as the lands of the world on which millions of human beings trudge up and down daily. By comparison, the traffic on the wide, blue, wet stuff is tiny. It should be well nigh impossible for two vessels, with a vast ocean between them, to collide. You can guess what is coming. Late one night, when Pete and Trev are as usual hovering delicately between sleep and suspicions, a skull-shattering shock hurls them both from their hammocks. This time, it is Pete's bottom that bears the brunt of the impact, while Trev ricochets around the walls before coming to rest in the hammock he has recently left. Pete's first, confused thought is of Squid. You will understand why. His second is that treacherous Trevor is up to his old tricks. He doesn't get as far as a third thought, because it is at this moment that the painfulness of his posterior truly strikes him. Ow! Yells Pete. Wafnafnum! Demands Trevor, his voice muffled by the hammock, which has spun around and made him into a kind of seagoing sausage. Help! Comes a pitiful voice from far below, followed by other pitiful voices, sending much the same message. Pete staggers on deck and peers through the gloom. There is something strangely familiar about the shouting and splashing surrounding the ship. Just then, a beam of moonlight struggles through the ragged clouds. Pete gasps. He thinks of his bruised bottom and gasps again. But, really, his first gasp was the most important one. All around, the sea looks like soup. That is, it looks like watery stuff, with bits floating in it. Which is what soup is, really. On closer inspection, there appear to be two kinds of bits. Most are bits of wood. In fact, bits of wood that look suspiciously as if they have once been bits of ship. Pete looks around in alarm. But there are no disturbing glugging sound coming from the maiden's rash. She has all her important parts and does not seem to be about to sink into the said soup. The other floating bits also resemble chunks of woods, but are, in fact, people. And not just any people. These are very familiar people indeed. Captain! Yells one of them. Captain, my dear old darling. Come and have a swim. It's lovely once you're in. Bosun. Pugnacious Pete can hardly believe his eyes. There is his errant second in command. Apparently, as much under the influence as ever. But if that is the bosun, where is the purple pimple? Suddenly, Pete's heart seems as bruised as his bottom. Even pirates have feelings. All around him, scattered on the waves, are the remains of his favorite flagship. The pimple is no more. Much later, as the sun rises over the maiden's rash, Pete's sadness turns, predictably enough, to fury. The crew of the Purple Pimple is dripping dismally on the deck. Only the bosun, for obvious reasons, is still resolutely cheerful. What have you done to my ship? You blithering blister on a barnacle? Yells Pete, gesturing wildly at the waves, where pathetic remnants of the aforementioned vessel are still bobbing bravely. We were run into, says the bosun, speaking very distinctly, but not very tactfully, by a big fat tub, called the Measle, or something like that. You were not run into, Herring Head, shouts Pete. We were run into. Why couldn't you look where you were going? You've destroyed a perfectly fine friend. There is a catch in Pete's pugnacious voice. It wasn't perfectly fine, you know. The ship's carpenter decides to add a word. Those worms were past dealing with. The tiniest tap could have burst the pimple. I often told the bosun so. And we were sailing under desperate difficulties. The boatswain goes on blithely. After you jumped ship, Captain? Jumped ship. Pugnacious Pete becomes purple with rage. I did not jump ship. I merely, went ashore for a bit. When I came back, you whelk-brained sea slug, will be you. Walking the plank always seemed a silly idea to me, when a swift swish with the sword of doom could do the job, but it's beginning to look attractive. At noon today, bosun, you'll be taking your final constitutional, as the sun continues to climb the sky, and the effects of the night before begin to wear off. The bosun starts to understand the seriousness of this situation. He cudgels his brain for a way to get around his old captain. He might have succeeded, too, if it hadn't been for treacherous Trevor. When finally released from his hammock, Trev is peevish, to say the least. He has missed all the fun of the rescues. He has missed seeing Pete turn purple. The only bit of fun remaining, as far as he can see, is the prospect of the bosun walking the plank. Pete, of course, is anxious not to look soft in front of Trev. So, when the bosun returns first, Pete's favorite eye patch, and then Pete's beloved banjo, the co-captain hardens his heart against his erstwhile number 2. It's time, he says at last. Now, who's got the plank? There is no suitable plank on board the Maiden's Rash. So, the crew fish a suitable bit of the purple pimple out of the sea, and set it up on deck, nailing it down at one end, but letting it wobble dangerously at the other, where it overhangs the sea. The carpenter, from the purple pimple, seems strangely excited by all this. At least, he keeps jumping up and down and trying to attract Pete's attention. Pete ignores him. Come here, scum bucket. He invites the bosun with his usual irresistible charm. The bosun tries humor. He tries pleading. He tries getting down on his knees and weeping. Pete is not impressed. Waving the sword of doom carelessly near to the bosun nose, Pete urges the sobbing seaman onto the plank. Now, walk, you sliver of squid slime, yells Pete. The bosun tries. He really does. But his knobbly knees are knocking together so furiously that he can barely put one foot in front of the other. When he reaches the middle of the plank, he stops. Pete has had enough. With a roar, he charges onto the plank, swiping wildly with the sword of doom, taunting and tickling with its tip. He urges the bosun towards the very end of the plank. The plank sways. The bosun totters. Pete, holding out the famous blade, is better balanced, but even he turns a little green around the gills. Back on deck, the ship's carpenter begins to make little squeaking noises. And then, croake, croriark, the plank snaps in half, and into the sulky sea tumble the bosun, Pugnacious Pete, and several hundred ship worms who were wiggling their way out of the plank. I tried to tell him, cries the ship's carpenter, running to the side. Far below, Pugnacious Pete is clinging to the wreckage of the purple pimple, while swiping at the bosun, who is clutching another piece nearby. Pete would be safer if he let go of the sword of doom. But he remembers the last time he lost the wondrous weapon in the deep and holds onto it with grim determination. Do something, yells Pete to the watchers high above on the Maiden's Rash. They do. They laugh. Treacherous Trevor finds that he has not, after all, missed the chance to see Pete at his most purple, but the bosun realizes that his chance has come to redeem himself. Carefully, avoiding the swinging sword of doom, he drags Pugnacious Pete to the side of the ship, where the cabin boy has thoughtfully let down a ladder. Later, that night, as he looks around at so many familiar faces, Pete reflects that the Maiden's Rash is looking and feeling more and more like the much-lamented purple pimple. And, far below, several worms from the pimple begin the happy task of chomping their way through the trusty timbers of Maiden. It's an ill wind. New story in the next chapter. Don't miss it.